Hello, students, and welcome to Psychology 101 with me, Carl Jung. Today, we'll be talking about the dying/rising God. What the definition of this archetype is that a dying/rising deity or the resurrection deity is a religious deity who usually is a goddess or a god that dies but is soon resurrected. Now, I'll be talking about the function and meaning of the dying and rising God. Many Mediterranean societies, Roman societies, and Egyptian societies have myths that usually have a group of male deities who serve as the main character of the myth and die but are resurrected again. The motif of this myth occurs in many diverse cultures because its attributes occur in everyday lives and its conflicts include death. This archetype, in a metaphorical way, represents that even in hard times, people may be put down, but they can always come back. However, in a literally way, it represents how in different religions, the death and resurrections of humans and animals, it symbolizes that maybe death isn't the end after all. Now, here are some quotes about this archetype. Starting off with, it is commonplace within the history of religions that immortality is not a prime characteristic of divinity. Gods die. Nor is it concomitant of omnipresence a widespread requiescence. Gods disappear. The putative category of dying and rising deities thus takes place within the larger categories of dying gods and even the larger category of disappearing deities. Some of these divine figures simply disappear. Some disappear only to return again in the near future. However, some disappear and reappear with monotonous frequency. This was from encyclopedia.com. So I will summarize this in two sentences for those of you small mind people. This basically means that in the history of religions, many people actually believe that gods are immortal. Many gods will die to disappear or only to reappear later on. Now I will be showing you a video from another expert critique from Mike Rugnetta, who is the man in the Crash Course videos, explaining about this archetype. Just a warning, at the beginning of this clip, he will talk about a myth, including a rising/guiding god, but towards the end, he will tell his interpretation of the myth. So here we go. All the credit goes to the Crash Course.
And now, our first tree birth. Probably the best known version of the Adonis myth comes from Ovid's Metamorphosis, which details Venus's mad love for the beautiful young god. However, we can't give Adonis all the credit. Venus only fell for him after one of Cupid's arrows grazed her breast. She leaves Olympus to chase Adonis around the woods. She warns him not to be too risky in his hunting, but as you can probably guess, Adonis does not listen. He's killed by a boar that gores him in the groin. Youch. When she finds him dying, Venus is distraught. Ovid writes that she ripped her garments, tore her lovely hair, and bitterly beat her breast, and vowed, "Memorials of my sorrow, Adonis, shall endure. Each passing year your death repeated in the hearts of men shall reenact my grief and my lament. But now your blood shall change into a flower." Brutal. Venus, history's first black metal lyricist. She then sprinkles nectar on Adonis's blood and it transforms into a red anemone flower. This flower is born, lives, dies, and is reborn again each year, like flowers do, so it's a symbolic reminder of the cyclical nature of the seasons and perhaps our grief. Toad, you getting all misty-eyed? Or is it just allergies? Seeing the same flower die every year might be kind of sad, but in another way, it's a hopeful symbol for the idea that maybe death isn't final after all.
So in summary, what he said is that the dying and rising god represents that although death is sad, maybe it is in the end after all. So now I'll be talking about examples of this archetype. Obviously, the main one that should pop up to everyone's head is Jesus. Jesus was originally a Jew, was born as a Jew, and he taught the teachings of disciplines, kindness, and only one God. This was called Christianity. He was believed to be the son/messenger of God. And he's additionally the main focus of the Bible. However, he was crucified because Romans didn't want him to continue to spread his teachings of Christianity. But even after his death, Christianity kept on spreading. In Christianity, Jesus is represented as a rising God because although he's crucified and killed, he rises again so that his soul can go to heaven. Another past example is Osiris, who's an Egyptian god who represents death. This god was murdered by his brother, but however, his wife/sister resurrects him. So because of this, he's portrayed as the judge of death, meaning like where he gets to decide whether one gets to live on with their afterlife happily or under torture, depending on the deeds they did during their life. Now for some present/dying and rising gods. But just the warning that these are not really like gods, but like just characters who die but just are resurrected again. So first of all is Alcin from the Chronicles of Narnia. So many people compare him to Jesus since he died but comes back to life again. So Alcin dies in the Trader Tablet, a place where traders die. But since he actually didn't do anything wrong, the Trader Tablet brings him back to life. Now the next example of this archetype is Avengers Endgame, which is where like in Avengers Infinity War, like all the characters are just like faded away, like Black Panther and Spider-Man. So, but then in Avengers Endgame, they all thanks to the Avengers, they're all risen once again. So yeah, that is the end of this study session with me, Carl Jung. And here are some links I used. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you.